24. It is 5:30. Will we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Ms. Eladio, can you lead us?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
President,
Present.
Lorena Delgadillo Clerk,
Present.
Cristina Clark Member,
She did send me a message that she wasn't going to be able to make it.
Laura Torres Member,
Present.
Lisa Variola Member.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Mary, do we have any comments from the audience?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Sure. We're going to start with Richard Kennedy. Could you please state your address?
Yes, my address is 155 West 5th Street, apartment C, as in cat, Yuma, Arizona, 85364.
Thank you.
I'm here today because I've been terminated and fired due to job abandonment. It is my indication that you're going to make a decision regarding any kind of pay that I have to pay back for breaking the contract. I just wanted to provide some additional information that you might not know, why you contemplate on making that decision. I just wanted to say that I was going through some medical issues as well as some deaths in the family. I do apologize for not communicating that information in a more effective manner. However, it did result in the absences that ultimately dictated my termination. I'm not asking for sympathy. However, like many of you understand, life does happen. Life does get in the way of some of your obligations. So I wanted to provide that clarity for you while you make your decision in regards to paying any additional money back. I do ask for some kind of a payment plan, as I am a young man. So any assistance in this regard would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for hearing me, and I thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Moving on to Elizabeth Moreno.
Good evening. My address is 968 West Garvin Street here in Somerton. Ms. Delgadillo, Mr. Castillo, I want to offer my congratulations on your re-election to the board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I meant to speak with you last month, but I arrived to find a note on the door that I was supposed to be somewhere else, and it was 5:26, so I'm going, I won't make it to the res in 4 minutes. So I'm here tonight, but I do want to congratulate you, and I do want to thank all of the board members for your time, for your dedication to our children, and to my fellow taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
so
Moreno.
much.
So moving on to 3.1, report from Mr. Duron.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. It's been the week and it's only Tuesday, so it's an amazing way to start closing off our very first semester for this school year. As you may know, we have several principals not in attendance because our winter program started, all right? So you have several winter programs to make up. I do have the schedule for all of the remaining winter programs in front of you in case you're able to make it to at least one. Know that they're amazing. We were able to be part of the one in ELC, and I think I don't know who said it, but the school is the hub of the community, and you can see it when you go into these winter programs, and any program that we host in our schools. It's just an amazing feeling to see all the community, all the parents really excited to see their little ones. So hopefully you get a chance to visit our schools. If not, follow their pages. They have a lot of pictures and videos for sure. So that's the reason why some of our principals are not here. Also, Somerton Middle School has their STEM holiday night tonight, and I don't know if you guys are following their social media, but they're pretty cool the way they're just promoting their event. So I get a kick out of it all the time that I go in and see what's happening in our schools. And another thing, we do have time of giving, holidays, and so we've been receiving donations here and there to support our schools, but we do have a major donation coming in. We are getting 120 bicycles donated by Riedel and Associates. They will be delivered tomorrow around 1 p.m., and so I'm sure everyone's working, I get it, but we'll make sure that we take pictures and obviously sharing gratitude, the nice deed that Ms. Riedel and Associates are doing. On another note, coffee with the superintendents. We're hosting our second one. Our first one last month was really good. We had about 15 parents in attendance, and we had several people representing the schools also in attendance. Great topics were brought up. Questions about ESS placement, the sizes of our classroom, field trips, and one thing that I really appreciated was that I had Ms. Kim there present and supporting with the answers, Ms. Esperanza, and I had several administrators also part of it. So I continue to encourage any administrator to be part of them. And so hopefully we'll get some parents coming in this Thursday for our second one. We are considering for next semester changing some of the times, maybe a couple of them in the afternoon, to make sure that we get more parents coming in. And then, last but not least, we had some walkthroughs last week. We're looking at capital projects to see what can we start working with our schools to ensure that we support them in some of these projects. So I was able to do some walkthroughs and take a look at possible things that we can change. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments?
I have a question. Mr. Don, on the bicycles, I read on your report that you're going to be distributing evenly through all the schools. How are the schools going to give the bicycles?
So in conversations with Ms. Riedel, it's for holiday purposes, and so they're going to be raffling them out. But in conversations with Mrs. Riedel, the only way to deliver them, it's only kind of like at one time, and so they're going to be bringing them into the district, and we have our team, maintenance team, and custodians helping out and distributing the bicycles equally to the schools.
So each school will be raffling them? It's not going to be based on, academics or student of the month, or is it a fair, is it one raffle ticket for all 300 students or 500 students, whatever the number of students per school, or?
They will be raffling them throughout the schools, yes.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
That's all I have.
Well, thank you, Mr. Stone.
Thank you.
Please let Mayor Riedel know that we
Yes.
appreciate her
Of course.
kind gesture, and our schools and our students are going to be very happy, ecstatic, that they're going to have the opportunity to win a bike. So
Yeah.
let Mayor
Awesome.
Riedel know that we appreciate her kind gesture.
Absolutely, we'll do.
So moving on to Ms. A.
All right, good evening, everyone. Happy holidays. Looking forward to the break, and I just want to wish all of our staff and students just a great, restful season and enjoy family and friends. Just a few things coming up. I wanted to let everyone know that we've been working with our law enforcement agencies, Somerton Police Department and the Sheriff Department, with our SROs, to ensure that we're getting all of our safety trainings done. And so that two of our schools have already completed the Run, Hide, Fight training, formerly known as the Active Shooter training. And then when we come back from break, we'll be able to get the rest of our schools completed. And then we're going to be conducting more safety drills and things like that with law enforcement present. They have been present on various sites, but we're going to have it more organized where we're seeing everyone and get the feedback and have guidance there. And then I just wanted to give a shout out for our Special Olympics. You know, Miss Garza, Mr. Bush, and all of the special education teachers and parents who are involved. They did an amazing job, and it was just beautiful. And I want to thank SMS for hosting it on their field. So they did a great job. And the kids were just having so much fun and enjoying that. So just wanted to let you know those things. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. A. Questions or comments?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Ms.
Ms. A, on the active shooter, I remember the previous superintendent had this great active shooter drills at all the schools. Or I think you accompanied her to the schools and surprised, you know, the classrooms and the secretaries and everybody. I thought that was a really good. You know, we are not exempt from any violence. Though I think we live in one of the safest cities in the country.
Thank God.
But, you know, we want to be prepared, and even though we will never be prepared for situations like that, is that something that you and Mr. Duron are entertaining as far as the active shooter exercise, or what? I know you can't disclose it, but are you looking into something similar where, you know, principals
It'll be
don't
a
know,
surprise.
secretaries don't know, you know, it's only between you both and the chief of police?
Correct.
Okay.
So initially, we're trying to do it in a systematic way. So we're making sure that all of them are up to par right now, all of our plans, that they're up to regulation. We have all law enforcement, everybody knowing what they need to know. They're looking at the plans. They've gotten the plans of all of our school sites. We had Mr. Velasco's team give us the updated ones, so they know all the access points and everything. And then by making sure that all of our staff have had the training, then they know what to expect, what to do. Then we have more systematic practice with law enforcement present so that they can give us feedback, like, you know, here's a blind spot here, we need to do this better, whatever. Then we can work with all of our administration with that. And then after that, then comes those other surprise drills, you know, that are not going to necessarily be announced, but we might just show up and make sure that everyone knows what to do. Yeah. But that's something definitely. I know that the safety team, our district safety team, discussed a lot of those kinds of things, but we need to make sure everyone really knows what to do and where to go. And then also looking at the reunification as well. Like how do they do that, and do we have everything in place? Because I know years past, you know, we had different apps and things, but didn't necessarily work at all of our campuses out in the counties and so forth. So we have to make sure that we're looking at all of those little blind spots, those little hidden things, that we are safe, that we know what to do, and everyone knows how to contact. So down to even radios and things like that. If our internet goes down and our phones go down, how are we able to contact one another? So those are different things that we're making sure of.
Okay.
I think if I can add, this year's rebuilding a baseline as to where we're at as a district, right? So coming in new, I also want to involve myself in all the emergency operation plans per school. One thing that happened after we closed for a couple of days, it was important that we met with all of our principals again and really review every component of that EOP to ensure that we knew what was happening. And so once all the schools go through the proper training, we're definitely going to be looking at those next steps. So this year's building that baseline again.
Okay. All right, thank you so much.
And our chief is very
They're wonderful.
Yeah.
Chief Juarez and Captain Jenkins have been great, and then all of the other agencies
Sheriff.
assisting and supporting. They're ready and willing. Whatever Chief says, they'll help.
awesome. Any other questions or comments? Okay, so moving on to 4.1, board member report and board attendance. We're going to start with Ms. Ariola.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to say thank you, teachers, principals, for all the wonderful jobs that you guys do. Make sure that you rest during this winter holiday and have a blessed vacation.
Thank you, Ms. Ariola. Ms. Torres?
Along those same lines, I know we got 3 more days left, right, of school. So I was going to say 1 week, but we're shy of that a bit. definitely take care of your health. Mental health is also part of health, so make sure that you take the time to unplug, reset, reflect, and you know, and as well as, you know, your physical health, make sure that you guys are washing your hands, that you're getting enough sleep, and that, you know, we are avoiding all the germs as much as possible. Just stay healthy in every way possible. And thank you for all that you do. I had the privilege of attending Thriving Achievers for the first time, and I just think it's such a wonderful way to recognize students. And I think, you know, this is a model to follow, but, you know, maybe every student will not be a thriving achiever, but I definitely encourage all of you to find a way to motivate students the way that the teachers get to acknowledge them, you know, in public in front of the other thriving achievers. Please take the time to give them those words of affirmation. I know that really goes a long way. So thank you for doing that. It was a great opportunity to be there and have some pozole served by mi familia. It was amazing. Great breakfast, great spread. So thank you for doing that, and yeah, just continue to motivate those kids, affirm them, validate them, and continue to just pour as much as, you know, you can, aside from all the other responsibilities you have. Thank you so much for all that you do. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Torres. Ms. Eladio?
I want to echo the same. You know, the holidays are coming, and Friday, 4 p.m., I'm going to put my hater hat on, and because that's the one thing I do miss about teaching is having these holidays off and all these weeks. And so, right, Juan? I always tease Juan because I'm in my office and he posts all his adventures, and there I am in my office in my meeting. And so, but I do want to echo what Ms. Torres said. You know, it's so important that you take care of yourself. These 3 weeks that you will be off will go by fast, and January comes around, and the next thing is coming. What comes is the state test, and so I think the major pressure begins in January. So it's time to reflect, hug your family members, enjoy the time that you have with them. Friends will see you at the White Parade. And I'm sure I'll see transportation there, and the schools, and can't wait to see the kids waving at their bus drivers, and can't wait to see what your costumes will be this year. But thank you so much for all that you do. I do want to thank the community as well for entrusting me for another 4 more years. You know, what we do here is not easy. Sometimes it looks easy, but you know, there are times that we have to make difficult decisions, but please rest assured that our decisions are not made quick. You know, sometimes we talk and try to make the best decision that's best suited for our district and our kids in our community. We live here, and our family is here, and so we are a root of what you are producing now, and which are successful lifelong learners. And so I thank you for what you do. Thank you for those voters that came out to vote. It was an amazing turnout in Somerton. I don't think we've ever had so many people vote, even though it's a presidential election. My term always is during the presidential election, and so this year I waited 3 hours in line just to vote. And so thank you for those community members that did not leave and stood there with all of us in the cold and waited to vote. And thank you again. And so with that said, happy holidays, enjoy your break, and yes, I will be hating on everyone that's not at work.
Just a little
So
bit.
forgive me when we come back in January. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Eladio. Even though Board Member Clark is not here, she did send me a message she wanted me to read to you all. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and read it. She says, I apologize for my absence at today's meeting, but I would like to wish the entire Somerton School District staff a much-deserved holiday break. I hope everyone takes this time to decompress and spend as much time with your loved ones as much as possible. I know all of our sites are very busy with the various holiday events, programs district-wide. Your efforts do not go unnoticed. Everyone is doing a wonderful job. I was able to attend an ELC Christmas program last week, and it was the cutest thing seeing the little ones perform. Thank you and your staff, Ms. Escalante. On a final note, I am beyond honored and profoundly grateful to have been re-elected to serve on the Somerton School District School Board for a second term. To each and every one of you who supported and entrusted the three of us who will continue with these board responsibilities, a heartfelt thank you. This is more than just a role. It's a commitment to our students, staff, families, and the entire Somerton school communities. I am ready to continue this journey, working collaboratively to create an even brighter future for our students and upholding the values that make our Somerton and San Luis campuses so unique. My promise to you is unwavering. I will continue to advocate for all stakeholders, ensuring that our schools are places of opportunity, respect, and growth. Together, we're not only shaping a district, we're investing in our community's future. So that was from board member Ms. Clark, and she wanted to be here, but she needs to be with her family. As far as for me, I mean, how could I? What can I say after that speech, right? You know, I do want to congratulate all board members that were reelected. You know, last month, I wasn't able to be here. I was at a work conference out of town. And just like everyone mentioned, you know, please, you know, spend this time with your family. You know, self-care is very important. You need to take care of yourself so that you guys can be well for our students. You know, it needs to be a priority. Of course, there needs to be a balance as well too. But hope you all had a great Thanksgiving with your loved ones, and you know, happy holidays. You know, for these coming days, and hope you all rest and enjoy your 3 weeks off. You know, I know I will.
Ouch.
But hey, the choices everyone makes, right? So with that, I mean, really, I hope everyone has a great Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's and Happy Holidays. All right, so moving on to 5.1, Mr. Duarte, the Director of Technology.
Good evening, board members, and Mr. Gomez and everyone in attendance. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Antonio Duarte, and I'm the IT director here at Somerton School District. I'm going to try to keep it short, like it as is tradition. And so, first, I'm going to introduce my team. So you have me, Mr. Tenorio, our network administrator, Jason Abundis, who is assigned to the district, does NORA, ESS, and all the departments. And then we have Abigail Franco, who is our state reporting specialist. And then we have the techs that are at the sites. We have Angel Figueroa, who's the newest addition to our team. He is the tech at SMS. We have Daniel Melendez, tech at EOC and BTS. Rafael, who is, Rafa, is assigned to TDS, Orlando, SBS, and OGS. And then we have our IT secretary, Ms. Geraldine Ibarra. So, one thing I want to show you guys is our new building. We did move. We're no longer here at the warehouse next to maintenance. We moved over to this renovated building. Thank you, Martine, for all the help and all the renovations. I did add an old school picture that I found. I don't know where it's from, but if you see on the top left, that's I guess it used to be a PE room or something like that, right? Yeah. And so.
PE and shop.
I'm sure their DNA is somewhere there still
Oh,
in the
gosh.
building.
Sure.
But as you can see, the bottom pictures, that's the renovated, the building. The picture on the bottom left, that's our storage area. That was before we actually moved in all our stuff. And then the picture on the bottom right is kind of our current office. But, you know, we have a lot more space and definitely more room for all our technology equipment and whatnot, because we were going back and forth between our office to the storage and trying to get everything organized. So now it's just all there and we can organize it and whatnot. So, but thank you, Maxine, and thank you, Mr. Lumuse, for moving us to this new building. So just some updates on our internet. You know, we've had power outages, we had the fiber being cut, you know, nothing, everything that was, you know, out of our control. But one of the things that did break was our firewall, and we ended up switching to our old firewall, and essentially right now we're trying to fix it to get the speeds to be a lot faster by the time testing comes. So we already have a resolution for that. We already have a PO approved and sent, and hopefully we can get that fixed during the winter break. So once that's fixed, I mean, most of our users don't really notice it, but we do. We see it. We see the network, and we see it being bottlenecked and whatnot. And that's because we're using old equipment, right? Luckily, we had that equipment when it went down, and so hopefully once that gets fixed over the break, we'll have our internet speed back to how it was. Future plans, this June, we're gonna negotiate a new, we're gonna negotiate with our internet service provider about a new speed. Hopefully right now, we're at 5 gigabytes. We're at 5 gigabytes for the entire district, and hopefully we're looking at doubling the internet speed by next school year. And with that, I'm gonna talk about E-rate. So E-rate is, it's a federal program that basically helps rural schools pay for internet and hardware. It's all about network, right? They assist us with making sure that we have adequate funding for network, right? And so we get about $167 per pupil, and this is an agreement for, I believe, 5 years. So we get about, if you do the math, 167 times the 3,033 students, we get about $500,000 for 5 years. And that's only for category 2, so that's anything that's hardware. We are going to sit down with Ms. Udron and Ms. Say about how to determine, the best use for this funding. But, we have some ideas. I know one of the big things was, and they talked about it in the report, was the two-way radios. So, when the internet's down and the phones are down, well, what if we use this money to get batteries to sustain our network, sustain our servers, so that if the power goes out, we still have internet. And if we have internet, then we have phones. So that means the schools can communicate with each other. So just, brainstorming, thinking of ideas on how to spend this money. And then also E-rate pays 90% of our monthly subscription for our internet as well. So it's really nice that we have this program. Completed projects. So some of the projects that have been completed this school year is 21st century compliance. We basically set up Power School so that it meets the compliance for 21st century. Abby has been played a major role in this, and she dedicated a lot of time and effort to support the 21st century team. Alongside with Lydia did a really great job of making sure we got all the components in correctly, and then checked the state reports. iPad cards. So another thing that we saw, a lot of departments and schools, they started disposing laptop cards, and we're talking the old school ones. They're really heavy. And so during the fall break, me and my team went to SMS, and we gutted them out, cleaned them, and put new charging stations in them. So now they're iPad cards. And so we didn't get to all of the middle school. we didn't get to all the teachers, but we are looking at other solutions for those teachers, like a cabinet that's not so expensive, and then adapting them with charging stations that they already have in the collection. So that's something that we're working on. Automatic attendance reports currently in Power School. There's a way where it's automatically sending attendance reports to the principals and secretaries. So that's one of the projects that we worked on this year. And then lastly, a state reporting internal audit. So Abby and Geraldine conducted an internal audit that kind of mirrors ADE procedure to make sure that we're just in compliance. And I'll show the results on the next slide. So in here are basically the results from the internal audit. You know, I know like it sounds like the bottom portion here is the results. So we had 49 findings in enrollment forms. I know that sounds kind of bad, but it really wasn't compared to other years. And the whole purpose of this was ADE came back to us a few years after COVID, and they started auditing all the school districts. And I would say about every school district got dinged. And so ever since then, we basically started looking into how can we mitigate this from happening again. And what we started doing is we started doing internal audits. And so Abby and Geraldine went out, they looked at forms exactly how ADE would, and then correct them. Not only just find them, but correct them, right? So that way, if ADE does come, we have everything that we need. It's good to see some zeros up there. And then also, the EL team went with Geraldine and Abby, and then they kind of did their own internal audit for EL purposes as well. And then some ongoing and future projects. So we got a report card revamp. We're thinking about, we met with admin and the principals, and we're potentially going to redesign the report card just so it's easy for parents and
Based on parent feedback for sure.
yeah, and get some feedback. So that's just ongoing, nothing official, but just want to let you know about that. CRDC compliance, the CRDC window opened yesterday, and CRDC is basically behavior data. I think they go back 2 years, so it's 2 years prior, and we're kind of compiling the data and getting that all together. Network upgrades. Usually we're gonna, like I mentioned before, we're gonna utilize E-Rate to upgrade not only the firewall or internet, but also upgrade the access points for Wi-Fi, so that way the Wi-Fi speeds is faster, it's more dense, and we can have more devices connected to the Wi-Fi. And then the last thing is the district yard sale. We're working with maintenance, finance, and myself, and we're gonna host another yard sale in March. Last year we had a very successful event, and so we're coordinating with principals and admin to ensure that they follow the proper disposal, because typically when they dispose of a technology item, we receive it first, and then we decide whether we either going to put it to the surplus or we're going to reuse it, similar to what we did with the laptop cards converted into iPad cards. And that's all I got for you. Any questions?
Questions or comments? I have a question.
Yes.
How's the Wi-Fi internet speed for our campus in Sun Valley?
It's the same speed.
Okay, so there's
We all
not-
share the same internet service, yeah.
Okay, so I mean, just, so, I mean, it's just as efficient and everything, even
Yeah.
though it's, okay.
So basically, there's a fiber wire
Uh-huh.
coming from SVS to, what's that main street? Is it Avenue F or Cesar Chavez?
Just a
Yeah,
service.
there's a fiber line from there going to SVS, and then that goes directly here to Desert Sonora.
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. So if the internet goes down here, Desert Sonora, it goes down everywhere. So yeah, including SVS.
Let it not happen, please.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Antonio.
So moving on to 5.2, Ms. Rubio, Health Service Manager.
Good evening, Board President, Board members, administrators, and everyone here. My name is Emma Rubio, and I'm the Health Services Manager for the district. And I've been here for 38 years. I have worked for the district for 38 years. And I have worked at this position since 2019. So I presented my report, so if you want to follow me there. The overview of the Health Services Department, the staffing, our department consists of 10 members. One full-time health aide at each school, except for Tierra del Sol, who has one full-time and one part-time. We also have one floater health aide that rotates among all schools as needed, and myself as a manager. All health aides have been trained, completed the state mandated trainings for vision and hearing, and they also have all these other trainings as CPR and first aid, seizure management, albuterol administration, EpiPen administration, and naloxone administration. Each school also has an emergency response team that includes the counselor, the health aide, and 2 or 3 other members that are appointed by the principal. These teams are trained in the same certifications listed above. The mandated vision and hearing screenings, myself and the floater health aide assisted all the schools and completed all these mandated screenings they needed to be completed within the first 45 days of school.
Can I get more microphones?
Yeah.
Yeah, just if you want to, yeah. A little louder.
Also, we completed the immunization report that is due every year by November 15th. And thanks to the hard work of all the health aides, our schools are 98 to 100% in compliance. The following services are offered for employees. We have the on-site vaccination clinics. We have a clinic that comes in and we schedule each school to be part of it. And this year we had all the schools participated and we had a total of 97 employees vaccinated against flu shot, pneumonia, or other vaccines that they wanted. The biometric screenings, we just had that clinic about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and we had also 34 employees that participated in this event. We also, we haven't had the mobile mammography for the past 2 years, but we're working with them to see if we can get them to come back again, because that was, every time they come, we have a great turnout, like a lot of our lady employees participate in this program. All these services are provided free of charge as part of the ASPAID benefits. We also have the employee wellness program. I send informational health emails, including a questionnaire, and every employee that participates in this, they can benefit from the information, their health-related topics, and if they participate, they can win. They participate in a raffle at the end of the program. We just had the fall campaign, and all the people that participated received a lunch bag as an incentive for participating. The following services are for students. We have the mobile dental program, and that's offered by Sunset Health. They come to each school and they offer dental care for all the students that the parents need to be given permission for those students to participate. We also have school bell program. We collaborate with the migrant office. We refer the students and we distribute the consent forms and assist with transportation when needed. We also have the Caro Kit closets. We refer the students and they receive Caro Kits containing items like clothing, shoes, toys, and books. Our district is also part of the stack medication program, which is through the Maricopa County Health Department. In order for our school to be part of it, we have to have at least 2 members of each school being trained and all these other certifications that I named before. Every school is also equipped with Narcan provided by the Yuma County Health Department or the state. Special programs, we're having the Kindness Makes a Difference Day. That's through the cuddle kids. They make that it's a special event for students, and every year we get invited to this program. We're going to this program on December 14th, which is on a Saturday, and all the nurses are gonna be there assisting with supervising our students. And thanks to Maria, because she's providing transportation for the district. Other years when we didn't have transportation, a lot of kids were missing out on this program because their parents were working and they couldn't take them, but we arranged with Maria to help us with that. I wanted to thank Avenir Financial because we received a donation from them. They donated 15 Thanksgiving baskets the week before Thanksgiving, and all of the help days chose the families that needed those baskets, and we delivered them. The families were very grateful, and they even sent thank you notes back to take to the Avenir Financial people. And also Mr. Duron sent us gave us a thank you letter that I take to myself. And that's all for me. Thank you for your attention, and do you have questions for me?
Well, I just want to say thank you for your 38 years of service for our
I think
district.
I was your nurse.
I didn't want to say anything, but she said it. Yes, you were. Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Cruz.
you.
Thank you.
That was Ms. Ariola, any questions or comments?
No.
Okay.
That was good.
So moving on to 5.3, Mr. Onisco, Adult Education Coordinator.
Good evening, board and superintendents. Oh, go to the next slide. Yeah. And everyone else in the audience, so kind of reminds me of church with the front rows empty. So just some background information on adult ed. We have day, afternoon, and evening classes. The day and the evening classes are the bulk of our students. The afternoon one is our GED preparation classes, which is lower attendance compared to the rest. We also have digital literacy classes where people can get certifications for like different operating systems and whatnot that they could use in their resumes. The civics classes, which could help them prepare for citizenship. And then ESOL, which is English for Speakers of Other Languages classes, and that's the bulk of our students. And the classes are separated by level, beginning, intermediate, and advanced, which is determined by initial testing. All the classes are free of charge to students, and we maintain a wait list, and all students have to go through an orientation, registration, and initial testing process before entering the classes. Mondays, we're open 8:30 to 3:30. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, we're open from 8:30 in the morning to 9 at night, and then Fridays, 9:30 to 5. So we get evaluated by the state of Arizona in the following categories: error rate, progress test percentage rate, enrollment, and MSG percent, which stands for measurable skill gain percent. So I'll go over those. So I'm going to go over the last 3 years worth of data, because those are the 3 years that I've been here in my current role, and plus the years prior to that were the COVID years, so the data is kind of skewed anyway. So these are the ones that I'm more qualified to speak about. Okay. So the first section, error rate. So as I mentioned before, all students have to take an initial test before entering the program to know for class placement, plus it's a state requirement. And so there's 2 different test versions, A and B or C and D, and it depends on what date they were enrolled, which sequence that they would get. And there's 24 different levels of the reading test and 24 levels of the listening test. And with the A, B, C, and D different forms, there's 192 different possible tests that the students can be assigned. So tests are not automatically assigned, but that's something I have to evaluate by looking at their student profile, their enrollment date, their testing history sequence, and I have to create their test sequence manually. And so the error rate is calculated based on the total number of tests administered versus how many were administered correctly, following the proper sequence of those 192 tests. In addition to the initial test, students have to be progress tested every 50 hours of being in the program. So we monitor attendance daily and are always running reports. So as soon as they hit those 50 hours, they need to take their progress test before they have any more class time. So errors can come by giving the test too early before the 50 hours or too late, where they're not showing up to the test, but they go back to class, or they do homework, because homework hours can also count towards that 50 mark, or giving the wrong test in the sequence. And as I mentioned before, you take the total amount of tests of errors and you divide it by the total amount of tests to get your error rate. So the state target is 5%. So in PY 22-23, we are at 7.3. Last year we were at 2.7, and right now we're at 1.2. And this is, since it's just based on how you're administering tests, it shouldn't change throughout the rest of the year. So I'm confident it should stay at that 1.2 mark, thereabouts. Another category we get measured in is progress test percentage rate. So it's determined about the percentage of students who took their progress test divided by the qualified number of students who should have taken the progress test. So for example, if a student drops out of class before they hit that 50-hour progress test mark, we get a 0 for them because they never took their progress test. So it's a constant battle making sure that when we register students in the class that they're aware that they have to commit to stick out the class. If they show up for a couple of weeks and then stop coming, then that's an issue. So we send letters home and call constantly, going to do home visits next week because we don't have classes, so it gives us a chance to knock on some doors and try to get some people in there. So the state target is 67%, to get 67% of your students tested. In 22-23, 67, a little bit over that. Last year, 76%. And this year is 61.59. Now, we still have 6-7 months left, and this number only really has anywhere to go but up, because we're almost, I'll get to it in later slides, but we're almost at our enrollment cap of 300. So the only way this number goes down is when you add new students in the system, then they go to the denominator and drop it. So since very few more students are going to be added, because we're almost at our max for the year, we have a long time to get that up. So I think something in the 80s or whatnot is doable for the year. So our enrollment target is set for every 4 years. So for 2020 to 2024, our enrollment target was 220 students, because you're funded for 4 years at a time. And since our funding increased by over 55% in this last year allocation, our enrollment target also increased. So now we have 300 enrollment target instead of 220. And one of the data points is what percent did you get of hitting that enrollment target or not. So in 22-23, we were at 147 of 220. Last year we exceeded our enrollment target of 267 of 220. Right now, again, with a majority of the year left, we're almost hit our target already at 289 of 300. These were last week's numbers because I had to send the slide in. I think I checked it today, we were at 297. So we're pretty much almost there, which again, gives us the rest of the year just to work with those students. So that's a good thing. The other category is measurable skill gains. So MSGs are when you look at the students' initial tests that they took before they entered the program, which you use for class placement, and then you compare it to their progress tests they take every 50 hours, and you look to see growth on those two assessments. And so if they show significant growth, I mentioned before about their 124 different levels of the test. Typically growth would be like a 7-level increase. It could vary. But if they get that significant growth, then they're credited with a measurable skill gain. And your measurable skill gains percentage is taken by your total amount of students. So in this case, the 300 enrollment target divided by the total amount of people who actually got that skill gain. So the state target has always been 45%. In 22-23, we were 48, almost 49. Last year, we were 58, a little over 58. And so far this year, we're 41, a little over 41. But it only drops when you add new students. And since we've almost hit our 300, with very few new people going in the denominator, again, this is only going to go up. So we're in a better place than we were last year. And last year, we almost hit 60. So I think we should be able to exceed a 60% measurable skill gain rate. And again, the state target's 45, so we've almost hit that, but we still have plenty of time left in the year to exceed. Added some photos of the teachers and the students in their classes. Okay, this is the staff at an institute of professional development training we went to this year, so that's all the teachers and the office staff there. Okay, and then, so I have a couple videos of the students in action, holiday themed, because it's the holiday, so the first one here is a Thanksgiving activity, and then there's a Christmas activity afterwards.
Any questions or comments? Ms. Ariola?
No.
I do have a question. On your first slide, I saw that the ESL test, I'm sorry, the GED test, I believe it is.
Yeah.
Is that taken in Spanish or is it just all English?
They could take it in either way. Our GED funding is changed, so we used to be funded by the state for the GED program, but now it's by the local one-stop. So they calculate our evaluation on that separately from the state numbers, and it's based on TABE testing, which is like a practice test essentially that they take for that. But they could choose. In reality, they could choose either option.
Okay. And I saw that you almost meet your enrollment goal.
Yes.
So once that goal is met, will all the students that come, will they be put on a waiting list till July 1st, or would you continue to enroll them?
Yeah, we'll have a little bit more enrollment, but once we hit that number and with like the hour requirements that the students need to get with the remaining months of the year, a majority will wait, but probably June we'll start to orient the new batch for next year, and because it takes about a month to get through like all the orientations and the registrations and initial testing, so we'll start contacting them maybe late May, early June, and just maintain the wait list and then start them all July 1.
And this is open to all Yuma County?
Yeah, so the
students?
requirements is that they have legal residency, so they could be a citizen, they could have a visa, they could have a green card, as long as they demonstrate that they're a legal resident of Yuma County, then it's open to anyone at minimum age of 16. So the youngest students we have are 16, and there is no upper echelon, so we have some in their 70s and 80s as well.
So they do ask for proof of citizenship?
Yeah, it's a requirement in our grant is to check that. So.
Thank you, Ms. Valle.
Are your GED classes in Spanish as well, or just the exam?
So the instructor is bilingual, and so he switches between the language, but the students are all fluent in English, at least the current batch that we have. So he gives the class primarily in English, and from my experience dealing with them, most of the GED students, not all, that come to us tend to be more fluent than the useful ones. But he is able to go back and forth as needed. And
Right.
the program we use, the students have the option of choosing either language for their activities. So it's kind of up to them on their own computer.
So you don't offer an only Spanish GED class where the textbooks or supplement material is only in Spanish?
No, I mean, so since we're funded by Arizona Work, if they chose to increase the funding and ask us to have a second offering of that, then we'd be happy to comply with them. But so far, they haven't asked that, and we haven't enough of a student demand. Compared to like the English classes too, just the enrollment tends to be lower in those classes. So just having enough students to justify that too would be more of a challenge. And you might have, hundreds and hundreds of people on the wait list for an English class. For the GED, they go on a short wait list, but it's just determined by as soon as Arizona at Work has enough space in their system. Like on Thursday, they opened up enrollment again, and I referred the 6 students who were eligible, and they're going to be hopefully starting next month. So.
Okay. But they do have to have a tape test, right?
Yes. So we do initially test them. Yeah.
That's 11, 12 level. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is switching to 13, 14 later in the year, but yeah, currently we've been using the level.
So they have to pass that tape test in order to take the GED?
Not necessarily. That's just kind of like a baseline placement to have as a data point, and then we progress test them as well. So then that can give them like a confidence of, okay, I improved my math score by so many levels. Maybe I can take the math sub-test, but the reading one hasn't improved. Maybe I'll hold off on taking that. And we also have internal practice tests from Essential Education, which they could also take similar to the tape to kind of let them know, am I ready or not to jump in? Because at $40-something a piece each test, it could add up for these students just to take. So relying on the tape and relying on the GED practice test from Essential Education is usually a good thing.
And my reasoning is because I know the tape test, the math portion is very, very complex, and
Yeah,
so
that's usually what gets the students.
that was my question: are they required to pass that math? Because
Yeah, so
it's
it's not
very
necessarily like, pass or fail necessarily for the tape. It's more like where are you starting from? It's better to look at that. But no, there's not like a minimum requirement that we have of, okay, you scored this on the tape math, you
So
can
you
enter the
can't
program or not. So
Okay.
we'll take everyone where they're at and kind of build their levels individually. And the good thing about the Essential Ed curriculum that we use is it's individualized. So once it gets a feel of the student, it starts giving them a path that's kind of tailored to them. So some people may take longer, some people may take shorter, but then with the instructor and then even myself, because I'm a former math teacher, I like to help them sometimes, and we can help get them where they need to be.
okay, thank you.
I have a question. So I know you don't have any recruitment issues. It seems like you have plenty of enrollment, but what's like your game plan for retention? I know you mentioned home visits next week. What is your like attrition rate? How many are you losing per cohort?
Yeah. So we have a trimester system, so I don't have an exact percentage of how many continue on for each trimester, but we do have some students who have been with us for multiple years, so not everyone backs out, and sometimes people let us know, like, oh, for work or moving, I have to leave, but we do ask up front that you give a trimester commitment as a minimum per time. So through a lengthy orientation, we try to make that abundantly clear multiple times, like, hey, think about what's coming up in the next 4 months. If you're moving or job issues or family issues, someone's sick at home, you need to take care of them. We'll keep your spot high on the wait list. As soon as you're ready, we'll plug you back in. So just being super thorough in the orientation. Usually we get to a point where like, hey, does this apply to anyone? And a couple people are like, yeah, okay, maybe I won't sign up today, just hold my spot. That being said, there's still gonna be people who, have to drop out. So part of the strategy is you don't get penalized if the students get removed before they hit 12 hours. So constantly monitoring attendance in the first couple of weeks, running these federal reports to let us know, okay, this person is at 3 hours, but they should have been at 15 by this point. So if you notice a discrepancy, if you withdraw them fast enough in the system, then it won't hit you. But then that doesn't solve the problem of if someone is active the first couple of weeks, they hit their hours, and then they drop out. So at that point, it's just following up, kind of, doing everything we can to get them to come back or do kind of an online course at home, because homework hours do count. And then if they hit their 50 hours naturally, then they can come and take the progress test and they could leave. But, it is a smaller percentage because, we do have, a pretty good progress test rate. Like I said, I'm projecting it to be somewhere in the 80s, which is still a good thing. But yeah, there's always a couple students who, for whatever reason, life happens, right? And,
Right.
But you still have to follow up. You can't give up.
Yeah. Well, thank you for showing. I also would like, I know I want to see the videos right now, but I know that the district, for the most part, is increasing their media presence. It'd be great to see adult ed as well, post some pictures, and, it's just really neat to hear everything that's going on. And again, I know you don't need to recruit more people, because it seems like you're good in that area, but it just, for visibility and just to show how unique our district is.
Yeah, the Facebook page.
I had no idea. I will go follow.
We're gonna push more, Mr. Ernesto, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to show some videos?
You can post them to the Facebook, and we'll go watch.
We have the link. Yeah, we're
Maybe
good.
the second video.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, she was singing Frosty the Snowman for what it's worth.
Thank you.
We'll go watch them. Thank you.
Mr. Ernesto. Moving on to 5.4, Ms. Garcia, test coordinator.
Good evening, board members, superintendents, and fellow educators. My name is Alicia Garcia, and I am the district test coordinator. I have been the district test coordinator for 2 years now, but I've been in the district for 17 years. So, our assessment team is comprised of myself as a DTC and 2 language testers. We have 1 data technician that's shared between instructional services with Ms. Fermanis and myself and our team, and we work very closely with Ms. Reynoso, who's our EL specialist. We work with the district benchmarks, which include Galileo, ELA and Math, Science, our high frequency words, DIBEL, and our HMH. Our growth assessment is given every 3 times a year, sorry. In that, we support with making sure everything is up to date, ready for testing, everything's open, ready for our teachers, for our site members, everything that needs to be done. Some of those tasks are Alex's and supporting with that, making sure that those programs are online and ready, and at the end of the year he also helps with cleanup and supporting sites and administrators and strategists throughout. We also work with our state assessments. That's our Zella placement and reassessment. We have our AZ Sci, which is our 5th and 8th grade, and our AASA. And the windows are up there for you guys. We do make sure we have a 2-week jump start, and we follow that. We work specifically with our kinder, make sure that we're having the minimal disruption once our kinder kids come into school. So we do the 2-week jump start with the support of our IAs. This year we had 9 of them starting in July that we were able to support us. At this time, we've had 206 students who have been placement tested. That is done partially from the ladies that help us in the 2-week jump start. Those were 116 students were tested right before, I believe, July 26th or 28th was the last day. 8 of those students were proficient, so that means 198 of those students were identified by our assessments team with the support of those IAs, and those students were needed to be placed in inside classes, making sure that we are giving them services and supporting them with their needs. And we will continue placement testing until May 9th. So that's an ongoing process. In between all the rest of the testing, we still have to identify and screen students. I did put some of the EL tasks up there, and this is some of the things that we do as a team, but basically our language testers need to help create those folders for every single newly enrolled student, screen those students. We need to identify those ELs, make sure that we're within the state's following the laws and regulations and making sure that we're supporting our students as needed. They have to complete all the state trainings as well, all of us do. Test those students within the time frame the state gives us, and then communicate with the sites, with the secretaries, with our EL specialists, making sure that our students are in the correct classrooms and placed correctly. And that's where we work with Ms. Reynoso. And then update all the information in Power School. We do that manually, making sure that our kids are, all that Power School information is connecting with ADE so that we're in compliance. In the spring, we have our assessments. That's all that math, ELA, AP side that we have to do. During that time, we work with our administrators, site test coordinators, making sure that we have the correct students tested within the correct levels, or our EL students, providing trainings by myself as a DTC, and ensuring that all the test administrators complete those site trainings and state trainings. Just, again, compliance is huge. We inventory, we sort, we distribute test material, we check enrollment, new enrollment, just making sure everything's good and that we're up to date. And then just communicating with prior districts if needed as well, so that we're testing those students and identifying as soon as they come in. At this time, when I ran the report, we have 1,193 EL students in our district. That's about 40% of our students. For AZ side, we have 353 students that are 5th grade and 338 students that are 8th grade. And we will test approximately 2,068 students for AAESA. So we are already preparing for all of these tasks that are coming up. And then at the end of the year, we look at the state results. We make sure that they're getting to the team, administrators, they know their data. We have it from the state, working with the tech department, making sure that we're updating, rolling over all that information, making changes that are needed to Power School, making sure we're up to date. Just, again, that connection with ADE. We keep our files up to date, and then we make adjustments in the team. If there's anything that needs to be changed, that didn't work, that worked well, could work better, then we talk about it as a team and prepare for the following year. Any questions?
Questions or comments? Ms. Ariola? Ms. Ariola, any questions or comments? No. No response from Ms. Ariola. She disconnected?
She just came back.
Any questions or comments, Ms. Ariola? Okay, thank you. So moving on to consent agenda. Does anybody have a question or wish to pull something from consent agenda? No? Need a motion?
So moved.
Motion was made by Ms. Delgadillo,
Second.
second by Ms. Torres. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. So moving on to action items. 7.1, approval of out-of-town field trips.
Well, our schools are gearing up for end of the school year field trips and also our migrant programs. So our recommendations for a motion to approve the out-of-town field trips for our students.
Margaret's gonna be busy, huh? I saw those trips.
Yeah, I know.
Any chaperones?
Ms. Delgadillo?
I have a question on one of the field trips to Washington. That's during the summer. So the students, you're only taking 5?
Can you come to the podium?
Good afternoon, everybody. Due to funding at this time.
State your name and everything. State your name, just for the people, for the
Audience.
for the
Yeah,
audience.
Rodriguez Vaughn, and I'm the Federal Programs Director. At this time, due to funding, we only put 5 students, but once we get the second allocation, our intention is to increase that. But it gives us the opportunity to have it initially approved, so we can move forward with reservations, flights, and all of the travel arrangements that need to be done.
What grade level?
And we only take 7th grade at this time.
Oh, 7th grade.
It's
That's
a
all.
great program. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
no.
chaperone everything.
You can.
Thank you.
So you are gonna receive a second allocation?
That is what we were told by the state, but we won't know until January.
That's
Officially.
That's awesome.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Need a motion?
I was going to ask if they need any more chaperones. I make a motion to approve the out-of-town field trips for students.
Motion was made by Ms. Torres,
Second.
second by Ms. Ariola. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to 7.2, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve the revised salary schedule and market adjustments effective January 1st, 2025.
Good evening. My name is Esperanza Rodriguez. I'm your Director of HR, and I have worked with the team to prepare this information for you. So within your packet, you will find our, the information. So the minimum wage is going to increase effective January 1st. And so within the information that I prepared for you is the normal housekeeping every year around December. For January 1st, we bring this to your attention. So we are required to meet the minimum wage increase. So it's going to go up 2.4% to $14.70. And so within my report that I provided you, you can see where it's, was $8.05 in 2016 and has increased about 83% in the last 9 years. So it's a substantial increase. This year, it's a smaller increase than we anticipated. So our recommendation for you, based on the information I prepared, I usually compare to make sure all our positions within the salary schedule are within the market. And so we want to make sure we're competitive. And so you can see the salary comparison that I prepared for you. We usually look at ourselves and we compare ourselves to the other schools, Crane, Yuma 1, and Gadsden. And then the average of those amounts is what I determined to be the market average. And so then based on that information,
No, but I think it's the salary comparison on that.
sorry. So based on the information in front of you, the salary schedule that you see there for our non-exempt employees, we need to make a change. So we're going to make sure we meet the minimum wage increase. And so we're actually a penny over for $14.71 for those employees. And then I'm proposing that we make sure that in order to be within the market, that our ranges for the base ranges increase accordingly here.
And Esperanza, just looking at the salary comparison that we have under administrative content, this is if we were to hypothetically approve it right now, right? What you shared with us right now?
So this information that I shared with you is how we formulated our salary schedule. And so we do need action to approve our salary schedule so that we can then proceed with the next steps of making sure, number one, we're in compliance with the mandate to make sure our employees are, within the new minimum wage. And then number two, this is just yearly housekeeping. We also try to make sure that we make sure new hires coming into our district, now that the minimum wage has increased, is within that market average. So. So normally the integrity of the schedule, when we do the comparisons, I make sure, that the ranges are within, the integrity is maintained. But also, if we're needing to hire a new bus driver January 15th, which we still have a vacancy open, then, advertising it at the current rate, for example, here our bus driver is currently being advertised at $16.64. Minimum wage is now going to be $17.40. So it's going to be hard to attract a bus driver when the market, or Yuma 1, Crane, or Gadsden, when you look at their amounts, the market average is now what I'm proposing to be now $17.92.
Questions or comments? Looks competitive. So. Good job.
Working on it.
Yeah, thank you.
No? Ms. Ariola, any questions or comments?
No, Juan, thank you.
So with your blessing, we ask for you to please approve our salary schedule so we can implement it effective January 1st.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Motion was made by Ms. Delgadillo,
Second?
second by Ms. Torres. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to a 7.3, discussion and possible action to approve salary increase or market increase to minimum wage classified hourly staff effective January 1, 2025, FY 24-25.
Thank you. I know that was a mouthful. So, good evening again. So I went ahead and prepared a presentation for you. So now that we're within the market for our new hires, our existing staff, we need to look at them. So I just wanted to remind you that our classified employees are usually, at this time is when they receive their salary increase. So we have changed that back in 2023, I believe, where they receive a salary increase based on a calendar year. So it's going to be January through December. So this is why we're here with you today. And so with your action, we've addressed, the minimum wage increase that's going to be effective January 1st. So it's going to go up from $14.35 to $14.70, which is a 35-cent increase or 2.4% increase. So then what we're proposing is that now with our existing staff, what are we going to do with that? So since this amount here, 2.4% is a little bit less than we anticipated budget-wise, we're hoping that you approve our proposed market adjustments and also do salary increases for our employees. So there's still some salary compressions that in the past years we've brought to you that we need to deal with. So, sorry, I didn't know I was going to hold the microphone and do this. So the last several years, like I mentioned, since 2016, I started in 18, you can see the rapid increase of the minimum wage. So this is going to impact about 200 of our employees. So we are required to meet the compliance. So of course there's cost there, okay? We have to comply with the mandate, and so we need to increase our minimum wage. And so then what that does is the bottom is coming up, and there's an upward motion that, they keep coming up towards the top, and so that's what causes the compression. So then you have employees with more experience, a higher skill set. They're now only paid slightly above other new hires that are coming in. So this has continued to be an ongoing challenge for our districts and many districts in Arizona. And so that's why usually you do market adjustments to make sure that you have higher starting wages that narrows that pay gap between the new people and your existing staff. So that is your impact of the minimum wage, and we've been trying to deal with that. And then it's an unfunded mandate. So then we have been doing market adjustments. And so back in, I think, 2021, we proposed something similar to what we're doing now. And so we want to make sure that our employees are attracted to our district, right? We want to retain and attract these employees that come into our district. Unfortunately, though, some compression that we're having, employees leave our district because they feel like, they're not getting paid enough, they're not being recognized. So when you have turnover in key roles, it's very difficult for different departments in our staffing. The other thing that the reason these adjustments are necessary is to make sure that's also equitable, right? You want to make sure your experienced employees feel like their pay reflects their skills and their tenure. And then also, we're trying to address the compression so that we have employees' morale improved without the district. So that's one of the key reasons that we think market adjustments are necessary. And legally, we need to make sure we comply with this minimum wage increase that you just approved. So I'm going to give you an example here of what a compression is. So sometimes we forget, right? So we have a new bus driver that, based on your new approval, I will hire with 5 years experience. And so we'll place him on range 7 at $17.92. So that's great. It's within the market. So based on their experience, HR does a calculation, and they will get placed at $19.26. Okay? So that's awesome. We're going to attract new people, and that's great. But the problem is that we have a current bus driver who's been here 18 years, and this individual, for example, is making $18.47 right now. So with our proposals that are coming up in the next slides, we're proposing that we decompress some certain groups. So with that decompression, we would give this individual 6%. So then there would be the new salary increase they'll receive is $19.58. So again, now we have an existing staff member, again, 18 years, but we give up to 5 years experience. We're proposing to decompress them up to 5 years. So now we will make sure that existing staff are making more than our new staff coming in. Okay, this is the meat of our presentation, excuse me. Okay. So several past years, we just applied the same percentage across the district. So everybody's getting 1%, everybody's getting 2%. So that's very simple to implement, and that's a great way at times to do this. But the disadvantage is that we don't fully address these type of compression issues. So we can either kick the can down, and obviously, we're limited on funding, which again, the past few years we've just done across the board percentages. A few years ago, we had proposed and you had approved for us to do what we call the tier percentage adjustment. So what we're hoping is that as of January 1st, with our proposal tonight, that we give a 2% for any employees who have been here 6 months to 4 years, 4% to anybody who's been here 5 to 9 years, 6% to those who have been hired, 10 plus years. And then we have several employees, well, a few employees that are already like the base range is here, and they're already 50 to up to 73% higher than that base range. So we're proposing for them to get a cost of living or a 1.5%. And then we have a proposal for certain employee groups to be decompressed. So we looked at the data based on the employee's hire date, or some employees who have retired or come back or left the district and come back, their rehire date, to determine which category they fall in. And then what we're proposing is to give them the increase of that percentage based on their years, or decompress them if they're in one of those employee groups. Some of those employee groups that we decided to decompress are still making quite a bit because they've been here for several years. So perhaps for them, the 4% or the 6% applies better. So we want to make sure the most favorable calculation is applied to these individuals so that we can target that compression and, more importantly, reward our employees who have, experience and loyalty. I'll stop right here. Any quick questions on all the information I presented so far?
No, I'm assuming when you did all of this, this is something that is definitely going to be sustainable, right?
There I go.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's look at here. Okay, so the first thing I just wanted to share with you is these are the employee groups that we've decided to decompress, okay? So our IAs, our technology, transportation, our health aides, maintenance, and food service. And so, yes, this is going to be a feasible impact to our budget that we know will be, sustainable, and I have the blessing of the finance office, so, so the other thing is that we're gonna make sure we have new employees that are coming in, not making more than our existing staff who have been here several years. So with the proposal that we're giving you and these employees, you can see we have over 200 employees as classified. And so based on the information that we looked at and what groups can we decompress, who can we do, it's 69% of these employees that will make sure have the increase or are decompressed to ensure we don't have someone currently in our system making less than new people coming in. So that's exciting, almost 70% there.
And Esperanza, and I'm assuming that the other 31%, you guys are working on something, right?
So good, Mr.
Gotcha.
Did you see my presentation already? So then the recommendation for you tonight is that you please allow us to process the notice of agreements for our employees as of January 1st based on the approval that you gave for my salary schedule, okay? And then yes, those individuals that you mentioned, our clerical staff, our custodian grounds, finance, HR, the SLPs, and then more importantly, the teachers and admin that we do on this, in the spring, and they're more on a fiscal year basis, we know we still have that issue across the district, right? So we want to make sure a new principal coming in isn't making more than our existing principals. A new teacher coming in isn't making more. So yes, this is something that we're looking at. This is something that we're hoping, to address in each year when we get our budget, like in March, the end of March, we try to make sure, okay, we have this much, what can we do? So doing a tiered approach like this for all employee groups, and we're able to meet 69% of the hourly. We wish we could do all of them, but it just at this time wasn't feasible, and we couldn't quite do that. But we felt like the other individuals, formulating a plan with the leadership team. What can we do? How can we do this? And then that would allow us to make sure that all our employee groups, which is our goal, to make sure all of our employees, feel that they are being paid correctly, okay? And so then we are asking you to please approve this tiered approach that we're asking for, those adjustments. So we're trying to be proactive. We're trying to meet the compliance. We believe it'll boost our employee morale. and also strengthen our ability to retain talented staff. So I just kind of have the information there again for you so you can see. Our goal is to give a 2% for those individuals that are working, 6 months to 4 years, 4% for 5 to 9 years, 6% for the 10 plus years, 1.5% for few employees that are already like making 50 to 70 some percent over their base range in the level that they are. And then hopefully again, decompress the majority of these hourly employees.
You know what, I think for me, honestly, when I hear a presentation like this, I mean, honestly, I get excited because, I mean, these are, this is really what I think we board members also want to see. We want to make sure, like, I go back to the base pay of our teachers, we want to make sure that we're the highest district that's paying well. And it goes back, to all of our positions. So, I mean, I do want to thank you and the team for taking your time and being creative and trying, because, I mean, I know this isn't easy, because you're trying to adjust the percentages and everything, and see what's fair, what's not, and unfortunately, some people are gonna be borderline but that's just part of it. But I do appreciate you guys taking the time and trying to address that compression rate, because we want to keep retention high, we want to keep our staff morale high, and we really want to make sure that we want to get the best of the best. And if we're not addressing these things right here, it's going to be challenging. So I do thank you all for taking the time and looking into this and being creative. So, I mean, the more presentations you bring us like this and motions, the better.
Yeah, normally I just do the report and the information, but we wanted to make sure we got this reviewed by admin based on their feedback. We kind of tweaked it to make sure, it was understood. And as far as the creativity, of course, with the team, it's not necessarily a new approach. We've done it in the past, but with the new team, certain things are changing, and if we're able to decompress and we're meeting, how can we do this, So it is a lot of calculations. Again, 2%, everybody, it would be easy, but this more targeted approach is going to meet our needs. And then hopefully, on a final note, like in the future, if we're able to afford a full market analysis of all our positions and that's something in the future we do hope to do. The last one I think was done in 1998.
And I've been pushing for that actually, hopefully in the future. But I want to commend, even before you approve or not, the teamwork. Honestly, we went back and forth, Ms. Kim, Laura, Esperanza, and myself, back and forth. What was the best for our employees, and we wish that we could do it for all of them, but we have to take a tier approach just to make sure that we're able to sustain it. So.
And on a final note, those groups, if they're not decompressed, they still qualify for whatever percentage. They will still get a substantial increase or those percentages based on their years. And so they're not being excluded necessarily. They're going to get whatever you approve here as far as the percentages.
Esperanza, again, thank you to you and your team and admin for all your hard work. Do you have a number, like how many fall under the 2%, how many fall under the 4%, how many fall under, and so forth?
I don't have it with me, but I can provide that information. Yes.
Please, if you don't mind.
Last night, had people double check me. I've been triple checked, and I have that information because we need to actually now, with your approval tonight, we'll actually then start doing that and pushing that out. So then I'll share it with my team, and then Mr. Duran can share it with you if he wants, as far as the percentage breakdown of those.
Yeah, I just want to know how many people fall under each category of the 2%, the 4% on that. But great job. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? You'll send us that information.
Yes, definitely, as soon as I get it from Esperanza.
Okay, if there's no more questions or comments, I need a motion.
So moved.
Motion was made by Ms. Delgadillo,
Second.
second by Ms. Torres. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Esperanza.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to 7.4, approval to offer a notice of appointments for FY 24-25.
Okay. Unless you want me to sit down, Mr. Duran.
No, you're good, you're good.
So thank you for that approval. The employees will be happy. And so just so you know, we will then do an HR, we're formulating a communication plan to make sure each employee knows which one applies to them. So we have that information. We just need to push it out to the employees. And so the next item that we have in front of you is the actual list of these individuals that will get a notice of appointment effective January 1st forward. And so I just wanted to share with you that we will email them to know that we're working on those. And then when they return from the winter break by January 6th, they will probably then approve their notice.
Any questions or comments? No? Need a motion?
So moved.
Motion was made by Ms. Delgadillo,
Second.
second by Ms. Torres. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to 7.5. Approval to offer a notice of appointment to Teresa Perez as food service worker returning from Education Service Inc., ESI, on 1/13/25.
Yes, this individual has been retired and now would like to come back and be an active employee. And so effective the 13th of January, if with your approval, we will go ahead and bring her back as an active employee.
Any questions or comments? Need a motion?
So moved.
Motion was made by Ms. Delgadillo,
Second.
second by Ms. Ariola. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Just want to point out for the record, Ms. Laura Torres left at 7 o'clock. So right now it's, there's 3 of us. Yeah. So moving on to 7.6, approval to contract the following employees through Education Service Inc. for Somerton School FY 24-25.
This individual that you see there has been approved by the principal and approved by our superintendent to then go on ESI. And so the date kind of staggered. Normally we bring this to you like in July or August. So this individual's date fell now. They don't qualify for any of our in-house retirement benefits. And so she's requesting to please be allowed to go on ESI.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Need a motion?
So moved.
Motion was made by Ms. Delgadillo,
Second.
second by Ms. Ariola. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to 7.7, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve or deny the termination of certified teacher from contract FY 24-25 effective 11/14/2024. And there are 2 letters under executive content.
Yes, so the information we provided for you in executive content, and so we would like for you to please approve this action.
Any questions or comments? Need a motion?
So moved.
Motion was made by Ms. Delgadillo,
Second.
second by Ms. Ariola. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to 7.8, discussion and possible action to waive or fine $1,500 to teacher for release of FY 24-25 contract.
So based on the exhibit that has been approved by the board, the criteria, we feel that we would ask for you to please fine the $1,500 fee to this individual.
And again, there are 2 letters under executive content. Any questions or comments?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Ms. Maria.
Esperanza, your department or yourself did all the due diligence in looking or calling or letters?
Yes. Yes. And the site.
And who?
Multiple individuals at the site in our office.
And this, okay.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Motion? What's the motion?
Motion to fine the teacher, the $1,500.
Motion was made by Ms. Delgadillo. I'm gonna second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
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 No.
Anyone opposed?
Nay. I do.
Motion carries 2-1. Moving on to 7.9. You know what, let's do a roll call for the 7.8. I'm sorry. Mary?
Mr. Castillo,
Aye.
Ms. Delgadillo,
Aye.
Ms. Ariola,
Nay.
Motion carries. Moving on to 7.9. Discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve or deny the release of teacher from his contract FY 24-25 effective 12/13/24.
The information is based on the letter that you see there in front of you, so we ask that you please release this individual.
Make a motion to release the individual as listed.
Okay, motion was made by Ms. Delgadillo,
Second.
second by Ms. Ariola. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to a 7.10, discussion and possible action to waive or fine 1% to teacher for release of FY 24-25 contract.
On this individual, you'll notice the criteria meets the 1%, so we ask that you please fine a 1% fee of the contract amount.
Any questions or comments? And I do want to thank you, Esperanza, and the team for really taking your time and really looking at the criteria and everything. I mean, I think it's very important for us to be consistent at all times. So I do appreciate, I mean, I know sometimes the recommendations can seem harsh, but I appreciate that objectiveness.
We appreciate your help making sure we are, and whatever we recommend, you as the board have ultimate decision-making.
Of course.
So need a motion?
So moved to fine the individual the 1% as stated.
Okay, so motion was made by Ms. Delgadillo. I'm going to second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Nay.
Anyone opposed? Let's do a
I
roll,
oppose.
let's do a roll call, Mary.
Mr. Castillo,
Aye.
Ms. Delgadillo,
Aye.
Ms. Ariola,
Nay.
Motion carries 2-1. Moving on to 7.11, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve or deny the release of teacher from her contract FY 24-25 effective 12/21/24. And again, there is a letter under executive content.
And the only item on this one, the date is correct. So I just wanted to make sure, because there's an additional assignment, and so.
Okay. Need a motion?
So moved.
Motion was made by Ms. Delgadillo,
Second.
second by Ms. Ariola. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone
Aye.
opposed? Anyone opposed?
No.
Okay, motion carries. Moving on to 7.12, discussion and possible action to waive or fine $1,500 to teacher for release of FY 24-25 contract. And again, there's actually 3 documents under executive content.
So the exhibit that you have approved is just a way for the district to kind of recoup some of those recruiting costs that, when we have a teacher leave mid-year or any time during the year, it's difficult to make sure we hire a replacement. So on this individual, the criteria that was given to the HR office, we have decided, Mr. Duron, Ms. A, and I, that we would ask for you to please waive that fee.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Ms. Delgadillo.
So, Mr. Duron, this information was closely reviewed and the decision was made by the 3 of you?
Yes. So it met the criteria that we set to either waive or fine an employee wanting to break contract. And so once we were able to analyze what the documents were presented to us, we felt that that was a recommendation.
Insufficient document was presented to you?
Paperwork?
Or just what we have here?
Just what you have there, but we